The woman and her friend climbed to extreme heights, seeking an adrenaline rush, but disaster struck, the ladder broke, leaving them stranded. To save herself, she took a leap and landed on the only stable platform. Shaken, she quickly opened her backpack, took out some water, and tried to calm down. She needed to climb back up to reunite with her friend. The climbing rope was right in front of her, but just out of reach. Thinking fast, she extended her selfie stick, attached her backpack to it, and hooked it onto the rope. Then, with all her strength, she jumped and grabbed onto the bag. Her friend saw what was happening and immediately pulled on the rope. The woman started climbing up, inch by inch, but just as she was about to reach safety, her foot slipped. She fell, and the rope snapped tight, leaving her dangling in midair. Her friend panicked and peered over the edge. Luckily, the woman was still holding on, but her hands were raw and bleeding, she couldn't climb anymore. With no other choice, her friend pulled with all her might and finally managed to lift her back up. Then, she pulled out a scrap of paper, wrote down the tower's location and a plea for help, and attached it to a drone. She hoped to send the message to a lodge at the foot of the mountain, but the drone barely made it a short distance before running out of power. Defeated, she had to call it back. To make matters worse, they had finished their water and were now facing dehydration. At that moment, the woman looked up and saw a signal light attached to a pole. Realizing they could use it to charge the drone, her friend began the difficult climb to the top. She carefully removed the signal light and plugged the drone's wires into it. The drone finally started charging. Just as the battery was about to be full, a vulture suddenly swooped down and attacked her. Panicked, she rushed back to the platform. Ignoring her fear, she quickly launched the drone again. It flew toward the lodge. But just as it got within a few dozen meters of safety, disaster struck. The drone was hit by a passing car and shattered. She was devastated. By then, dehydration had taken its toll. She turned to look at her friend, only to see blood covering her face. That's when her friend told her the chilling truth: she had been dead all along. The woman had refused to accept reality. Her friend had died the moment she fell from the tower. Everything she had seen was just an illusion. Snapping back to reality, the woman refused to wait for death. She secured the safety rope and rappelled down. Landing on a small ledge, she pulled out her phone and sent a distress signal. Then, she placed the phone inside her friend's shoe, put the shoe on her foot, and pushed her body off the tower. This time, the distress signal successfully sent. After what felt like an eternity, her father and rescue teams finally arrived. At last, she was saved.